Uh, from what Steve said, any donations that come for beautification might as well not come, because they're not going to go to buy flowers or for beautification. They're going to go to the Cultural and Recreation Fund, correct?
Which we can use that money. We could put it in next year saying that we got money from for this, and we are upping the budget to cover, because that does come out of the tax rate. So we, as commissioners, which is what we should do, is add, say, that $500 into the next year's budget, or the $250 or whatever it was. I don't remember the amount.
So in order to be clear, whoever wants to make a donation to go for flowers or any of the beautification activities, because we've always tried to expand it beyond flowers. That's why the banners are there.
Mm-hmm.
They should very deliberately write a letter or put on the memo of the check where it's going to go, so you can make that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So
and when we can put it into the next budget.
Okay. So the latest check that came from the Renaissance did not have that, therefore it's gone. It's not going to go for beautification. Did I misunderstand?
It goes into the budget, so it goes to the bottom line of it. So it is going into the amount. It doesn't mean that that money is exactly being spent on it. The money in beautification can adjust a little bit. So if we needed more money or we need less money, it doesn't mean we're going to. Everything isn't spent exactly. Some things we go a little over budget. Some things we go a little under budget. So technically it is in there for that.
Can I ask a question for this?
Yes.
Is it possible, Stephen, that if, we have the $10,500 budget committee, beautification committee budget, correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. If the Mary LaMontagne wanted $400 worth of flowers for her mother, then that could come out of the $10,500 budget that we have, yes?
No.
Why not?
It doesn't work like that, okay? It just doesn't work that way. I had suggested in an email that I sent around, somebody at one time had mentioned creating a Friends of the Hampton Beach, a non-profit that you'd have with the state. And so you could do this legally. And then you would have the ability, for instance, if I wanted to give Linda $50 for candy at the Haunted Halloween, if this existed, this nonprofit, then I could give that money to the Friends of it's like the Friends of the Land Library. And that way, the money could be spent by the Friends of the Village District. Specifically, if I gave $50 for candy, then that's exactly where it would go, okay? The same thing with flowers. Now, if somebody makes a donation, okay, money's money. Once it's all together, you can't tell that this is, for instance, these two checks I have right here. Once I put it in, it's just revenue, and it's just going to go against setting the tax rate. That's where the money goes. So does this check somehow have, since it's written that it's to be used for flowers? No. I stamped this.
Is there a way to do that? Is there a way?
The way I just described. No,
what?
the way I just described. That's the way. The only thing I can think of. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know. But I do know this: that the money that comes in as revenue, because I just did this with the state, with DRA. They just set our tax rate, and it's on the second page of the report I just gave you tonight. It's an unofficial one, by the way, but it shows you. But the $120,000 in revenue that was generated, I'm just picking a number, I'm approximate, and that's the garage revenue and all of the donations and for the sand sculpture and the sponsors for the tent. That went against the $491,000 of culture and recreation, and reduced that amount down so that the amount that was actually taxable that is $291,503. That's the amount that the business people, I'm going to say non-exempt, but the business people, that's the number they use, that they divide the amount of real estate into that number and come up with the .546 per thousand rate, okay? But it's just money. That's the way it's done. I'm just learning some of this stuff too, but if you give me a check tonight and you make it out to the Hampton Beach Village District and you specifically want it spent on fire hoses, it's just going to go into the budget, and the way we have it set up right now. Now, I will point out that last month the commissioners made a motion to change the way that we handle the garage revenue so that it's applied to the entire budget instead of just culture and recreation. And they made the motion, it was passed, they signed a piece of paper, I submitted it to the DRA, and they told me, even though they're the ones that instructed me on how to do this, after we did it, they told me, oh, that's not good enough. It turns out that it's got to go through two other steps. It's got to go before the state legislation, and then it would have to go before the annual meeting in order to change how we apply the revenue to the budget, which I thought was another learning experience. And so I told the woman, said, you're the one that told me how to do this. Well, once we did it and I sent the paper to her, she said that she brought it to her supervisor, and it turns out she was wrong. So that's unfortunate, but it was a lesson to learn, because to me, I thought it was I don't know, it seemed, yeah, I thought it was a done deal, exactly, but it's not. It's nowhere near being a done deal, okay? But just to explain,
I
DRA is just looking at numbers, and they don't know what the check said on it. So they just apply
my question
money.
is not how we do the budget. I mean, my question, and it's a genuine question, because there are people out there that like what beautification does, and they would like to donate purposely for flowers.
Maybe you should have them donate $400 worth of flowers.
I was almost...
All right, so if you want to do it...
Okay, so basically... Yeah, I'm not done though.
Okay.
I'm confused. So if I'm confused, a lot of people out there are confused, and probably John is going to be able to clarify some of that. But when we started beautification, it was voted by our town meeting, and it was approved by our town meeting to form the committee. Okay?
The annual meeting?
Yes.
The precinct meeting, yeah.
Precinct meeting. So it was formed for the purpose of being able to allocate a budget to that. Now my question is, I know the town of Hampton is able to accept grants. How can we accept a grant? And basically, I don't think forming a Friends of or a nonprofit is the solution, because then you need a board of directors, and then you need people willing to do that and all of that. A lot of the times that it's not like you just donate. You have to have a whole group of credentials and standards and everything else. So if we want to support beautification of the beach, is there a way to receive grants? Is there a way for people to directly, and I'm asking this because we don't have it right now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. Do we need to go to the legislature? What do we need to do?
Let me give our lawyer Sharon a call and see what's the best way forward. And then next meeting we'll have a better solution. But right now, any money that is donated needs to go into the precinct account.